Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. This series, I am once again joined by my wonderful co-host, that darn Kitty.
Dorkus and I are sharing our experience reading Words of Radiance for the first time. Each episode, we will discuss the chapter and share our experience along the way.
This is Storming the Archives, Words of Radiance, and today we discuss the Prologue.
The Prologue!
Here we are, guys.
Very exciting.
Much excitement. For those who are new to the channel, Kitty and I have not read Words of Radiance before. We recently finished Way of Kings and we're hopping right into this next one. We have done Mistborn, we've done Well of Ascension, and are currently making our way through Hero of Ages. We've done Elantris and Warbreaker, The Emperor's Soul, Sixth of the Dusk, and Shadows for Silence. So, Kitty, what are your expectations for Words of Radiance?
My usual expectations of I will enjoy the book. There will be cool magic stuff going on. There will be mystery, and I will get frustrated with said mystery. There'll be several. And yeah, I will have a Sanderson experience is what I am expecting.
Excellent. I'm expecting a lot of the standard Sanderson-isms that we have come to know and love. As far as this story in particular goes, I'm expecting to learn more about the Ghost Bloods and about Parshendi culture.
Mm-hmm.
I'm expecting a storyline in which Kaladin tries to avoid revealing his powers to Dalinar. Like, I'm expecting some almost comedic shenanigans there. Almost emphasized. Asterisk. I'm expecting severe tension between Amaram and Kaladin, because I think it was mentioned Amaram is coming to the Shattered Plains in the last book. And I'm expecting a rivalry or tension between Kaladin and Adolin. I'm wondering if there is going to be a Bright Lord revolt, maybe like a Civil War storyline type thing where Elhokar via Dalinar has to assert their authority after what Dalinar stated his plans were. I am expecting to know a bit more about Elhokar's geometry men that we were clued into in the last book. I don't know what to expect from Szeth. I presume he's on his way to the Shattered Plains. I hope it doesn't take him the entire book to get there.
Yeah, it's slow moving. Szeth was slow moving in the last book.
Yeah. So I guess that can lead us into the elephant in the room concern that I have, which is I appreciate the novelty of the Sanderlanche. I sincerely do. I felt that one of the issues with Way of Kings was its pacing.
Mm-hmm.
It felt to me like that entire book was revving up to get to cruising speed, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So I sincerely hope that Words of Radiance starts off at cruising speed. I hope we are not in for another 90% setup for 10% payoff with this book.
Yeah. We need a few more, climaxes in between.
Yeah.
Mini lanches.
Mini lanches. That said, I have heard that Words of Radiance is very highly regarded. In some cases, I've heard it's people's favorites or very close, and I have heard that the pacing is a bit better than Way of Kings. So we'll see.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. This chapter, the prologue, sets up, I think, or starts to set up a pattern that I think is very smart on Sanderson's part to do. It's a choice I liked very much. It's the assassination of Gavilar, but told from someone else's POV than the first book. And I hope that that will carry through to the third and fourth and fifth and so on.
If the mystery continues to be relevant, but I'm supposing it will, even when it's no longer a mystery, which is currently the status we get.
Yeah. Did you like the chapter, Kitty?
I did. I liked the pace as well. I liked that it wasn't just a POV of the events we know. It had extra. It told us about Yasna. So that's what made me excited about it. excited about the pacing as well.
Yes, I was very happy to see a Yasna POV. Now, I have an impression of her in this chapter, and I suspect it's not wholly different from the Yasna that we know from Way of Kings, but I do have to remind myself that this is a Yasna who is 6 years younger than the one we knew.
Yeah.
Because we get a lot of character out of her in this, naturally.
Yeah.
And it's not all good character qualities.
Yeah. We do get the arrogance that we have noted in her anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we'll get into that a bit more as we go through the chapter itself.
Yeah.
It opens with us learning that Yasna intends to have someone killed.
Yeah. And we're like, no, she wouldn't kill her father. Okay. So who on earth is this that she's going to get killed?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never once imagined it would be Gavilar, but I loved the irony of the intention and it happening on the night of the assassination.
Yeah.
And fittingly, the very next paragraph, we get Yasna noticing Aesudan, who is Elikar's wife. I particularly locked into the phrase, who snickered primly behind a handkerchief. It didn't make me leap to that she was the target of the assassination, but it did clearly impart to me that Yasna does not like Aesudan.
Yeah, it did that to me as well. I didn't go all the way to assassination. She just noted this reaction. And that did seem like a data point to hold on to about the way she cares or the way she sees this person.
Yeah. In keeping with that comment, there are a lot of lines in this prologue that I think are very, I don't know how to articulate it, visceral, very colorful, very like flies to rotten meat. Those eyes were constantly following her. It's very specific imagery that Sanderson is invoking through Yasna.
Yeah, she is not. And initially I was like, is she thinking of the Parshendi? No, she was thinking of the Alethi. In that. So it's just she has proper disdain for her people.
Yes.
And they have disdain for her.
Yeah, and that kind of language carries on through the rest of the chapter, particularly like with the oily, oozing shadows and what have you. We get the sentences, but the king's daughter admitting to heresy, that was unprecedented. Yasna had spoken her feelings for exactly that reason. One, Kitty, did you get the sense that it was that very night that she became a heretic, or rather revealed that to the world? Or did you get the sense that she had made that pronouncement prior, and this is just par for the course?
The way it is. Yeah. I didn't get the sense that it was that night, but I can understand that it could be either way, either or.
Okay.
I think it was because there wasn't much more from her about that. Like recalling things, yeah.
Gotcha. And the fact that she made this proclamation simply because it was unprecedented, does that strike you as conviction or childishness?
Childishness. It's rebellion. And look at me. I don't believe.
I agree. And that was my take on it as well. We've, I think, discussed in previous Yasna chapters in Way of Kings atheism and a certain kind of arrogance that is not uncommon among atheists. Certainly not
young ones.
Yeah, that's it. Certainly not amongst all, but I think it's kind of a stereotype.
Yeah.
That's very much the vibe that I'm kind of getting here. She notes that the Parshendi look nervous. I clocked that.
Yeah. They know what's going on. But you can easily explain that away yourself and be like, yeah, this is a tenuous piece and this treaty is new and whatever. So you can easily, that doesn't alarm you if you're Yasna.
Yeah, absolutely. No big reason yet to jump to, they're going to assassinate the king at the treaty. As she's leaving, she notices that her shadow is in the wrong direction.
That was crazy. That's when I was like, okay, this is ramped up.
Yeah. So Do you remember the blue guy from one of the interludes in Way of Kings?
No.
My recollection is that you liked him quite a lot.
The blue guy. Okay, well, I clearly didn't like him that much. And in the end. But yeah, what remind me.
He's the guy that counts spren, or like tries to log every spren he sees.
Oh yes, I did like that guy.
Yeah.
Why yeah?
His shadow was in the opposite direction.
Oh, I completely forgot that, obviously.
I didn't necessarily think that is what this was about. I did think that this was Shadesmar related, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. Her experience here, which I think we're supposed to take as being her first experience with Shadesmar, is very different than Shallan's was, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. Yeah.
She sees Gavilar and Amaram having a chat.
Good times. And you're like, yeah, what's going on? Because they stepped away from the party to do this. So she's also wondering what's going on. And that just makes me go, was it Amaram? At this point, this is what I'm thinking. Like, we're going to get more of him in this book. We're going to understand a little bit more of him.
I agree.
Hoping so. Yeah.
Yeah, I was very curious what this was about. I wondered if this sets Gavilar against the Ghost Bloods, because trying to pull from the first book where Amaram said something like, the Ghost Bloods grow more bold, suggests that Amaram is not pro-Ghost Blood, so I wondered if that was at play here in some way. I also found it noteworthy that Amaram was high enough to be considered for marriage to Yasna, but not important enough to go to the Shattered Plains.
Unless he did something to make sure he wasn't at the Shattered Plains for some reason.
That is a possibility.
I don't know. Maybe because of this marriage not working, he landed up the marriage proposal sort of thing not coming to fruition. He actually was moved down. You know, he somehow loses status because it fails.
That's fair.
Or he just loses status because he is no longer, like, Elokar doesn't like him, because his status is only lowered when the war has already happened.
True. We get that Gavilar has stopped wearing his shard plate in favor of more classical robes, which, again, we don't quite know what was going on with Gavilar. I think you and I had supposed that he's probably getting the visions, and it's changing him in the way that they changed Dalinar.
And let's note that how they did change Dalinar, or how the death of his brother as well changed Dalinar, because he's drunk. I suppose he's drunk on this night, and he's known as somebody who just gets drunk.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and that's just not him 6 years later at all.
Yeah.
So the death of his brother and the arrival of war and the visions all change him in the same way it seems like it changed his brother.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, though. Yes, Dalinar has been going through a weird respect for the Parshendi kind of arc, similar to Kaladin's. I don't think it's the same kind of thing that Gavilar has been going through. I feel like Gavilar might know something that is unconnected to the visions about the Parshendi.
But would he not share that? But we don't know much about him.
Correct, we don't. So
yeah,
I feel like we might get a better idea in this book. I don't know if we'll get all the details, but I think some.
I hope we get lots of flashbacks with him. Like, to just, like the way that he deals with his daughter and things like that. You get more idea of the character through that.
Yeah, or at least him at the end of his life, because we know that there was a shift.
Yeah.
We also meet Tiram here, the captain of the Kingsguard, and I'm expecting he will probably be in this book, particularly in some Kaladin fashion, that they'll probably have to deal with each other.
Yeah.
And then we get Yasna and Gavilar talking for a bit, and the lines that I wanted to call out was, they're talking about how she has left the party early. Gavilar is chastising her, saying, you know, a lot of people enjoy these parties. She calls them idiots, and her father smiled. Is it terribly difficult for you? he asked softly. Living with the rest of us, suffering our average wits and simple thoughts. Is it lonely to be so singular in your brilliance, Yasna?
I loved that so much.
At first off, ouch.
It's called out. I think that's beautiful. But the way he said it is kind of like, okay, honey, get over yourself. You know that this gives me the sense that this is something that he often has to remind her of.
Yeah.
That, okay, you're smart, but calm yourself.
This is a character flaw for Yasna. I did write great line.
Mm-hmm.
I think at some point she will become a victim of her own intelligence. I think that an act of hubris or arrogance or something of her own design will be her downfall if she doesn't check herself.
Mm-hmm. She gonna wreck herself. But it does make me recognize why she takes a bit of a liking to Shalon, because Shalon has the same sort of flaws.
Yeah.
She also has arrogance. Yeah.
And intelligence.
Mm.
I think highly intelligent people do tend to feel an othering between themselves and others. Would you agree, Kitty, that that's a common thing amongst extremely intelligent people?
It makes sense that they would, that they are extraordinary. They're different. They think differently. They act differently. They're going to be an other because they are an other.
Yeah. And it does make it hard to socialize in many ways, I suspect. But you really do have to check that contempt.
Yeah, because that will make it even more difficult. So if you become arrogant, sure, it's difficult because you can't relate. But if they would become arrogant, that makes it even worse, even more difficult to connect.
Yeah. But building on this childish streak of hers that we discussed earlier with the pronouncement of heresy, there could be an element of she's just deliberately pushing people away. Again, I think it's great. I'm really enjoying Yasna. She's a flawed character, but in really wonderful ways.
Yeah, that's what we want from our characters. We don't need crazy girl boss.
Exactly. And it will be sad to read her intelligence being her downfall, but it could evoke such wonderful excitement to read as well.
Yeah, it'll be a good story.
Yeah. So she's walking through the hall. The lights flicker, the shadows do weird shadowy stuff, and she sees a guy of oil and smoke. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I just finished the Wheel of Time, guys.
Well done.
Thank you. I thought of the one true power and how there's like a slick of oil and that's the corruption atop of it. I don't think it's connected to anything here with this guy, but that's something that my mind did when I read of oil as the slick outer layer.
Yeah.
She has that great moment of, I'm not going to back down. Throughout this chapter, there's so many great character moments of her compartmentalizing her emotion and her logic, which ironically might be connected to the flaws we had just been discussing, but in terms of she's going to make smart decisions and behave rationally against fear, it was really cool to see her not back down against the shadow monster.
Yeah, several times. Yeah.
Several times. So she goes to Shadesmar, and my question is, did she do something that sort of willingly brought her there, or was she shunted there by force, in part by this creature?
This makes me think of, just as you brought up the Wheel of Time. In the Wheel of Time, they have their first touching of the power. It could happen spontaneously, right? It seems like that's kind of what's going on here, that she's just come to this power, she's evolved, and it's just randomly happened that she's touched to this power, essentially. That's what it seemed like to me. But that's because I do read things through the lens of Wheel of Time. Yeah.
Sure. It makes me wonder what was so special about that night that it happened for the first time then. It makes me wonder if it's connected to what the Parshendi at the end said with, your dad was about to do something dangerous. So I wonder if Gavilar maybe unlocked magic in the world in some way. Although, obviously, I think that would be reductive of the concept I'm trying to impart, but something to that effect.
Something related.
Yeah. So she's swimming in the beads. Each bead is a thing in the palace that connects in some way. A cup, a plate, a knife, some clothes, kind of a thing. Eventually, she grabs onto a bead for the palace itself, and she wills it, sheer force of will, very cool, to basically rebuild a section of the palace that she can stand on and breathe. The shadow creature and several other shadow creatures seemingly try to attack her, and again, she doesn't back down, and she uses the statue of Telenalot to defend her from the shadow creatures.
Very important.
Yes. So the first thing I did when I read that was to go back to Book 1, Way of Kings, and see which statue was missing.
Was it?
It was not Telenalot, it was Shalash.
Oh. Okay.
So what does that mean?
I don't know, because I didn't go and check. That's what I just thought. But then again, she doesn't change it into anything, so it doesn't need to be missing. And that doesn't need to be the one that was missing.
Sure. And I feel like if a statue was soul cast into being something different, there might have been some sort of commotion in the palace about it.
Yeah.
She ends up back in the palace where she's like, I'm going to write this down for later. And she determines it was probably Shadesmar.
Yeah, which is, again, pacing-wise, we don't actually need to have her researching it. She just immediately has this background knowledge. Oh, that's actually Shadesmar. And, so that's what I like about the pace of this chapter.
Yep. She is then on her way to meet with her assassin. And as she's getting through the palace, we get the line, this far away, the music sounded disturbingly like the beads from the dark place, rattling against one another. How are the Parshendi and their music connected to Shadesmar? That feels like a big, important thing for us to pay attention to.
Because we already suspect that their singing is some sort of magic anyway.
Yeah, like we think there's a psychic connection between all of them. There's something going on with the music. She gets into the meeting with the Weeper, I think was the name, yeah? Liss the Weeper?
Yeah, she gouges out eyes. But why does she gouge out eyes, Dorkus?
Because her victims have burnt out eyes that she wants to hide. And that means she has a shard blade, probably?
Yep.
Disconcerting. I remember Dalinar's shock when he saw that women could have shard blades in the past.
Welcome. Don't see why not.
Exactly. So we learn that she, Yasna, had intended to have a Sudan assassinated.
And we don't really understand why. We don't really get the why of it.
Right. Now, she does decide against it. She's going to have Liss spy on her instead. But yeah, we don't get a real reason, so all we really have to go on is that she doesn't like her.
I wouldn't go on that, though. There must be some other reason.
I would hope so. But again, I found myself continuing on with this idea of she's going to be a victim of her own hubris at some point idea. So I looked at this act as... like, I hope she has a good reason. And that's kind of when I had the thought of, no, this is still a young Yasna. She can grow a lot in 6 years. I don't know. I do also want to mention there's a lot of prose in this chapter reinforcing her analytical mindset, which was really well done and emphasized.
She's very logical.
Yeah. The concern here being that in view of her narcissism, the disgust factor, and in light of the philosophy lesson in Book 1, that she could potentially be some sort of Machiavellian schemer. At some point, she's tapping her finger on the table, and she realizes she's doing it again in time to the Parshendi drums. So I wonder if that and the music has to do with Shadesmar as well, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. That could be a thing that like awakened or made this magic thing, I don't know, closer for her to touch.
Right. At this point, they leave, and Yasna reminds Lys of their agreement that if someone approaches her to take out someone in Yasna's family, she'll come to Yasna first for an offer to buy out the contract and get the name instead.
Mm.
And I wrote to myself, the Tyrion problem, because this is what Tyrion arranges with Bronn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not actually a Tyrion-specific problem, but I was thinking about how could this agreement go wrong? And I'm thinking if you're from Lys's perspective on the matter, and you develop a reputation for turning on people who offer you contracts, you might find it hard to get more work. It kind of feels like you might be locking yourself into this one specific family. And it's like, as an assassin, do you really want to do that? Is it worth taking the smaller pay so that you don't lose out on future business from other sources? Just a thought.
And you don't lose out on leads to give this family as well. So maybe you could try and cover it up that you do the assassination. You think that you make it look like you're doing the assassination, and then you get paid twice because you didn't actually do it, and then you actually get paid to kill the person who would like the Yasna family member killed. There's ways around it, but eventually you do build up a reputation, and reputation is all you have as an assassin.
Exactly. But it probably doesn't matter too much for Lys specifically, because Lys seems to like Yasna for not being treated like shit.
Yeah.
And then we learn that Lys was an owner of Zeth at some point.
She found him too creepy. That's why she left him. Well, she sold him.
Yeah, poor Zeth. I like that we are probably going to be able to piece together every owner that Zeth had between that first one from the interlude that we got and Taravangian.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to that. She has a thought on the Parshendi and their traditions. Could it be that scholars have been searching in the wrong ruins all these years? I think this is her wondering if the Parshendi know anything about Urithiru.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, because in the first book, she's very definitive. No, the Shattered Plains were not Urithiru. So she had the question.
Mm-hmm.
And we get the exchange with an Azish man with a birthmark on his cheek, white, or possibly a scar. We have to clock that little detail because I think it'll be important later on. The exchange is, she's getting worse. The voice continued. We weren't supposed to get worse. Am I getting worse? I think I feel worse. Shut up. I don't like this. What we've done was wrong. That creature carries my lord's own blade. We shouldn't have let him keep it. And it turns out that they are ambassadors.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that was about?
I don't know if it's not, it can't be Zeth. Is it Zeth? Like, because he has a blade?
I don't think so.
Is it a Parshendi because it's a creature as well? Because they could think of Zeth as a creature if they know he's got powers, right? But if they're talking about a Parshendi, that's why they would call it a creature. That's another thing they would call a creature. Yeah.
Good point.
What were you thinking?
That it is my lord's own blade. There's no supposition that this guy is in the Ardentia. Yasna would have noted that, I think. They are ambassadors. I don't know that they're talking about a shard blade. I'm not convinced.
What blade do you think they're talking about? Just a normal sword?
I don't know. It's probably a shard blade, but I'm open to the possibility it's not.
I think we're supposed to believe it's a shard blade, and maybe it's revealed as just a normal blade.
Sure. And then we weren't supposed to get worse. I think I feel worse. What is this?
I have no idea what that is. I'm stumped.
Yeah.
Are they the heralds? Like, but they've got a lord. Like, like I went as far as, are they the heralds? Like, because these are all they're radiants. They're lost radiants.
Yeah.
And yeah, some things like that.
It sounds almost like there's some sort of disease or entropic element at play here.
Yeah, that's gonna get worse. Yeah.
Yeah, which is concerning. I did wonder if they are ghost bloods.
Ah.
If they're giving out shard blades to people, that kind of sounds like giving out soul casters to people. So,
Why not?
Could be. And then we get the assassination.
Mm-hmm.
So she runs through. She sees Gavilar fall, I believe. She sees Zeth fall. She sees Zeth walk on the wall. And then Clade and Gongna and another mysterious Parshendi shows up and take responsibility. I saw the name Gongna and I thought, Oppa Gangnam Style. I admit it.
Oh, no. No. Well, the thing is, at least she got hanged. So now that won't happen because it will. It would. Like, if she became a character, I would be thinking about that every single time.
Yeah. There's a lot of prose with Yasna telling herself to turn off the analytical side of her brain, which I appreciated. I do find it interesting. I don't know if it's just that she's uniquely intelligent and interested or not, but I find it interesting that she's able to tell the differences between male and female Parshendi, and for Dalinar, it was some big revelation.
Yeah, what? Yeah, that... Oh, he obviously in battle, maybe it was just a bit difficult, because she does say it's subtle. They wear the same clothes and everything. And maybe the revelation was that it's not just one or two couples, it's all of them are male and female. It's not just random. So I can still put that together.
Sure. The reason they give to Yasna is because your father was about to do something very dangerous.
And the question is, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah. What? Is he about to bring in the Everstorm, usher it in? Or bring in the true Voidbringers?
Yeah. Or he's about to discover something about them, and they don't want that.
Yeah. But the Parshendi are more or less swiftly executed, hung. Dalinar had sent off 100 nearly priceless horses to track down Parshendi and didn't return. None of them returned. That's devastating.
Mm-hmm. For me, it is.
Aww. and speaks to potential power of the Parshendi.
Yeah.
No knowledge about Gavilar's black sphere that he gave Zeth in the first chapter, in the first book.
Yeah. And now the black sphere is bigger than, say, a bead from Shadesmar. Otherwise, it would be called a bead.
I think so.
And I don't think that these beads are things that can move from one realm to the other. In the corporeal world, they're objects already. The beads are just their representation in Shadesmar, is how I'm understanding it.
Yeah, I agree. So, look, I think it's a great prologue. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it really made me excited. I hope that the pacing continues in this way.
Yeah.
I really don't want a slow burn again. At least not in the beginning. Like, give us a bit more of stuff happening, and then maybe you can slow it down afterwards. But yeah, I understand we are in a sequel book. Who knows how it's going to work?
Yeah, completely agree. That's honestly like my biggest fear right now, is that this will be another very slow burn. Anything else to say, Kitty?
Like the video.
If you like. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Okay, thanks, bye.
Okay, thanks, bye.